Introduction to Chinese characters. As you have learned, Pinyin represents the pronunciation of Mandarin and is used in many Chinese dictionaries and computer input systems, as well as in Chinese language textbooks. However, Chinese texts are written in Chinese characters, which are called Hanzi in Chinese. The Chinese writing system may seem complicated and daunting at first sight, but actually it is not as difficult as it is perceived to be. It's just different from the phonetic system that Westerners use, where letters of the alphabet are building blocks that are combined to form words. To write, you observe the sounds made and write the corresponding letters. Chinese is different. Not better or worse, just different. It is a pictographic writing system, similar to Egyptian hieroglyphs in that the characters are pictures. Chinese characters are pictures that represent objects and abstract ideas. The history of Chinese characters. Chinese characters have a long history, starting in the Shang Dynasty, 1600 to 1100 BC. Although people from different regions of China may speak different local dialects, the written language has been a way of communicating since ancient times. There are thousands of characters in total. Knowledge of about 800 characters is necessary for reading newspapers and for most other common purposes. The characters you will learn here are the simplified script system, most of which contain fewer strokes per character. This system was made official in 1952, and it is a system used in mainland China. In Taiwan and Hong Kong, people still use the traditional script system. The art of writing Chinese characters is called calligraphy. Chinese calligraphy has various styles, which also represents the evolution of the Chinese characters over time. In daily life, people will mostly use the regular modern script. How Chinese characters are formed. First, strokes. All Chinese characters build up from basic strokes. The simplest ones have only one stroke, while the more complex ones can have more than 20 to 30 strokes. The strokes are to be written in the right order and in the right way. It is important to follow these rules. If you always write a character the same way, you will build a feel of it. You will sense if you have missed a stroke or if something else is wrong. The Chinese character Yong, meaning forever, is often used to illustrate the 8 basic strokes of Chinese characters. They are 横、竖、撇、捺、点、折、钩、提。Second, compounds and radicals. Most of Chinese characters can be broken down into components, or are so basic that they themselves are already in the simplest form. There is no complete list of these components, and it is a vague term. A radical is a component, which is part of a predefined list that is used to index Chinese characters in dictionaries. Most radicals have a fixed meaning, and they bring in the meaning to the characters in which they occur. For example, 火 means fire and is a character in its own right. And when 火 functions as a radical, it brings the meaning of fire into the other characters. Characters' shape, size, and spacing. Chinese characters can be thought of as square-shaped signs, which fit into blocks that are independent of each other. Generally speaking, a character may consist of 1, 2, or 3 parts, each standing for an independent unit. There are a number of ways in which Chinese characters are formed. This will help you to understand the creation and the logic behind the characters. 1-unit characters, 2-unit characters, 3-unit characters. Most of the 1-unit characters are pictographs, which are pictures of objects in the real world. For example, 日, 月, 女. They take up around 5% of all characters. 2-unit characters, meaning plus meaning characters. The meaning of the new character is based on a combination of the components. Let's take a look at some examples with interesting interpretations. 泪, 葱. Pronunciation plus meaning characters. Usually, one component indicates the meaning of the new character, and the other indicates its possible pronunciation. Occasionally, the second component may contribute to the meaning as well as the sound. But be careful, as the tones may change and the pronunciation may not be exactly the same. This kind of construction makes up around 80% of all characters in Chinese. As you can see, it is important to recognize some basic radicals. They will enable you get a rough idea of the meaning of the whole character.